Hey guys, before we get to the preview of Shadows, Heroes, and Monsters, I just want to shout out Feltectors here. If you like these playmats, this is a gigantic one that they sent us, where they have them in all different shapes and colors. They also do poker mats over there. So if you want to check out a friend of the show, throw them a bone, let them know we sent you. That's Feltectors.
Make sure you like, subscribe. Check us out on Whiskey Wednesdays. We do a live show from our homes where we cover games from the basement up.
That's it. Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
And this is the Board Game Rundown, and today we are reviewing Shadows, Heroes, and Monsters. So this is a deck building game. The first edition is out. The second edition is coming to Kickstarter soon. It's going to add like basically the ability to have a fourth player into the game. And this is like PvEV.
PvEVP.
Yeah. Because it's everybody versus everybody, and there's also a monster that you can fight and attack.
Correct.
So in this deck builder, you're going to have an asymmetric character. They're going to start with an asymmetric deck, and then on top of that, before every game that you play, you can either go with like a suggested beginner's skill card list, or you can draft basically 10 cards into your library. The library are going to be cards that you're going to buy, add to your deck for future use. Mm-hmm. So, but again, everybody's going to have their own unique cards that we're playing. There's a monster, there's a lineup for the items that you can buy when we get to that phase. And I'll just kind of walk through a phase.
A turn.
A turn around, right, for everybody. So the leader, whoever's the first player, first thing they're going to do, not in the first round of the game, but in every other round of the game, they're going to choose, everybody's either going to get a gold or an experience. And then you just pick, you throw it up there. Everybody kind of puts that gold or experience off to the side so you can keep track of it so you know where you got it from when you get to collect it later. Then everybody is going to go to the plan phase. So you're going to have all of your cards that you have access to. So not these ones here that I haven't bought yet, right? Not those, but all the other cards in my starting deck that I start with. And they've got numbers on there on the top left corner, and those are initiative numbers. And so in the first round, when we're playing against the first level of monster, your hand can be 3 cards. So you're going to pick 3 cards, you're going to put them into your hand, and then you're basically going to lay them out in order, and then we'll resolve them. So we would call out the ones, we would reveal any ones, and you're going to do what is on there. A lot of times it's like a prediction card, right? So it says predict 4 or 5. So I'm going to look at one of the guys I'm playing against, and I'm going to go, did you play a 5? And if he did, I get whatever the card says. If I didn't, then nothing happens. And then that's kind of how it's going to go. If there was any other ones that I had, I would resolve those as well. Then Bob would resolve his one. Mm-hmm. And then we would move on to the next one. The next one will be 2, which is combat. Oh, I had another one there. I just threw random cards on there. So 2 will be combat. Then that's going to allow you to deal damage of a certain type to a target. A target can be one of my opponents, or it can be the monster. The other thing the leader does do that I didn't mention is they're going to assign monster cards. They're going to draw one for each player, and they're going to assign them to everybody. Because the monster basically has like a response or an attack. So if you attack the monster, you're going to reveal that card, and if it's not a defense, then your hit goes through, and you're going to apply your damage to him. Hooray. You know, that's awesome. This guy takes 5 to kill. Now, it's not 5 cumulative. You have to deal 5 of your own damage to him to kill him.
That's why your damage tokens are different colors.
Right. The other thing I could do is instead of attacking that monster, I could try to attack Bob.
Haha, response.
So he had a card that was a 5. So if it had made it all the way to where we resolve 5s, we would flip it over then and resolve it. But I did attack him.
And it has a response.
So it has a response. And so now he's going to get to resolve that card. He'd gain a gold because that's what it says to do on the card. And he would just basically take a gold, put it on that card so he knows that's where it goes. The other thing, everybody's got like a flat-footed and a dodge card. So if you take damage without blocking any of it, you get to flip it over to your dodge, which then now gives you sort of a natural block that you can use. All the characters have that. And if you don't use that dodge at the end of the round, you get to recover a health, which is awesome. Again, asymmetric characters. They've all got their own stats on the side and their own unique health. So those are things that are important. If you were to get knocked down, which means you lose all of your health, it's not really the end of the world. You would lose one of your gold or experience that you have, your choice. You would lose that, and then you're going to come back and get all your health back. Then the player who knocked you down will get an experience, they'll get a gold, and they're going to get a bounty card. So then now if somebody knocks them down, they're worth basically twice as much, or twice the gold. You get extra gold.
Yeah.
If a monster knocks a hero down, all the other players get goodies. So also important. And yeah, so we're going to keep going around and around. Once we have resolved all the cards, usually 0 through 6, once you've got through all of those, then we'll do the build-up phase. So any of the gold and XP that we had gained during the round, we're going to add it now to our pool. And then we're going to buy items. So the items have gold values on the side. The number of coins shown is how much it costs. And then those items are going to give you either an ability via the text or maybe increase your attributes or both, which is awesome because the items are really powerful. The other super important thing is when you buy an item, you're going to gain a shadow stone. When someone gets to 9 shadow stone, that triggers the end of the game. So super important. The other thing you can do on your turn is for 3 XP, you can buy a card from your library. Anytime you have 3 XP, you must buy a card from your library. The only thing is that card will have stats at the top, on the top right-hand side, and you just need to make sure you meet the prereq for those stats. If you meet the prereq, you can buy that card, add it to your deck, and now you have access to it going forward. If you buy a card, you're going to gain a Shadow Stone. If you buy an item card, you gain a Shadow Stone. Those are the primary ways to get the Shadow Stones, is buying the items and adding the cards to your deck. Then we would go to the study skills. That's buy a card. Then there's the cleanup phase, right? So check for end game. We'd check for the monster. If we needed a new one, we would put out a new monster. You might have cards that are stunned. They go over to the stun area. Then you take a stun token off. You would resolve your dodge card, which usually, if it's up, means you're going to get a health back. And then the monster action cards will go away. And then we pass the leader card. And it'll go to the next player. And then the next player is going to get to choose whether everyone gets a gold or an XP. And then you're going to keep going. And you're going to rinse and repeat until someone has gained 9 Shadow Stones or more. Everybody will have like a hidden objective card. So something you're trying to accomplish by the end of the game. So super important to pay attention to that. Not required to win, but it could push you over the edge if you can meet that goal. Because if Bob and I both hit 9 at the same time, but I got my objective card and he didn't, that might be the Shadow Stone I needed to win the game. And there's a few tiebreakers in there and obviously some minutia with the rules, but that's like a very broad overview on how to play. So, Bob, what were some of your impressions of shadows, heroes, and monsters?
I really appreciated the asymmetry of the characters.
Yes.
I used one of the newer characters, I guess he was, with like the little bubble thing.
Yeah, it was like a prototype character.
Yeah, I was putting these like bubbles out on people, then moving them around. Then once I got enough of them on a single person, they would like explode, deal damage, and I would gain life. That was a lot of fun. I really like, this is very unique. Like, there's not many deck builders, and there's a little pushback, I would say, against calling it a deck builder because you have access to all your cards, other than the ones that you're going to be buying. Because it's not like there's like a normal marketplace where you're buying cards from. I mean, yeah, there's these items that you're buying from, but as far as the cards going into your deck, you're going to be able to look at all those and choose which cards you want to put into your combat field, and so that's super nice. I'm normally not a big playmat guy, but like these playmats are very helpful. A spot, it tells you where things go. It's got like key terms, right? So it says like, oh, anything in a field. So you have a station field and a combat field. So you can affect cards in either one of those fields. The combat fields, those are the ones you're doing each round. The station field, those are things that are going to stay out and go from turn to turn. You have an area for your stun cards. Like, I really wish the box was slightly bigger to be able to fit the mats inside because that's one of my other little pet peeves. But like, this would be a game I'd kind of want to have the mats for because I feel like it's very helpful to help you. I mean, maybe once you've played it a few times, you might not kind of
know where everything goes.
But still, it's really nice. These player aid cards, super helpful. There's the walkthrough of how every round goes. so you know what to do, when to do it, what order things are done in. The iconography was good. And it's interesting that, like, because if you don't have any gold and any XP, but you have it up on these cards because you've been gaining them throughout the round, and then somebody kills you, you don't necessarily lose anything because you don't gain those until the end of the round.
Right.
So it's important to not take those until it tells you to do it on the player guide.
cleanup phase. Yeah.
I like that. The monsters, you got to deal the damage yourself. So I'm like not sitting here doing all this work and doing like 7 damage to this 8 health monster, and Tim just walks in and goes bing and hits it for 1, and it's like, glad I did all that work.
Right.
So that's really cool. I like, and then it's not just about who kills the monsters.
No.
The game is really about trying to get all of your little cards to trigger. Because I ended up winning, but it was like I think I get to kill one of the monsters, which gave me an item, but still it came down to me triggering my abilities to get those experience points, to getting my predictions right, making sure I got my damage through to people to get those experience points, gaining the gold by making sure the monster didn't attack me, like things like that. So like you win by just being efficient, not just by doing a bunch of damage one time, or something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of skill there and not a ton of luck, right? I mean, the prediction's like a little bit of luck.
A little bit, but I mean, once you start because it's more of like a gauging people, it's like,
yeah,
Tim's got a bunch of damage. He's gonna need to heal. I'm gonna put a predict out. I'm gonna say 4 because the heal card's a 4 card,
right?
Typically,
right?
Yeah, and so just things like that, and kind of gauging your opponent. Like we were playing with our buddy Justin, and it's like he had his awesome defense card, and he was wanting to play that like every turn. So it's like, bet you got that 5.
Yeah.
And he's like,
well, and the other thing was he kept getting attacked by you, so we knew he was going to keep playing it because he's trying to defend it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is definitely that sort of aspect of reading the other players.
I thought the draft system for the cards at the beginning was super interesting.
I love that.
So it's a 3x3 grid, and you're going to choose a row or a column, and then and once you've chosen, you fill it up. The next person goes, and you do that until you have 9, and then your last time around, you're just going to pick 1 card, and that's going to be your, what do they call it?
Your library.
Your library, and that's going to be the cards you're choosing from to add to your deck later on. And I thought that was a really unique way to do that.
I was excited to try that out because before I'd only ever played it with sort of the preset skills.
Right, which could be good for, so if you're new and you're not sure what to get or what,
sure.
then yeah, do that. But once you've played it before, then do the draft because that
and
will really add some
threw you in
variability.
without having played it before, but I wasn't too worried about you.
Yeah, I've played a lot of games, so it was fine. I mean, I had 2 cards that weren't any good to me. But that's because I didn't realize that the color mattered as far as what color attack, and then I had cards that referenced that color of attack. I would have made sure to grab at least 1 card, but it didn't matter.
It didn't matter because you don't have to buy those. And the other thing is you're not going to buy every card that's in your library.
You're not going to because there's 10 cards there, and buying 9 wins you the game.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah, you're not going to buy them all, but it does give you, a selection to choose from as to like what people are doing to you. It's like, oh, okay, he's really going aggressive, so I better buy this defense card.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, all the things that Bob said. I love the artwork on this. I love the unique aspect of the deck building because you basically just make your own market for the cards.
Yeah.
Nobody's stealing the cards that you want. I mean, except for in the draft. But then just draft
or
something else you want.
These item cards.
The items
there's 4 of them, but
could get bought out from underneath you, and that's fine. It's just going to happen.
Yeah. But everybody has a base card that lets you remove 2 and up to 2 and replace them.
Yeah.
So you can really keep that refreshed.
So you can keep that market kind of moving through to try to get to some of those items you want.
Yep.
Again, I love the monster, right? Because if I attack it and it has an attack card instead of a defense card, well, now it's not going to attack me because I've revealed that. And so that was one of the reasons why I kept trying to hit that monster was because I just want to flip that card over so I'm not getting hit later.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And then I could save my defenses for if you guys were attacking.
There'd be cool if there was a retaliate card in there.
I mean,
so that way, if like, okay, I know Tim is being aggressive, so I knew he was being aggressive, so I kept putting the blocks in front of you to try to soak that damage up. That would be neat if it was like, oh, okay, block that damage and revert it back to the person.
Now it may not be a card because all the symbols do different things on different.
So there could be monsters that do that,
and there's tons of different monsters in there, like in different levels.
Oh, if this blocks damage, then deal that damage back.
Something like that,
like spiky or something like that.
Right.
I was like,
So I mean, needless to say, there's tons of options and replayability and variety in this, and we didn't even see all the cards in this huge deck of like extra skills and different things you can do. Another thing I absolutely love that this game does, and I think that's like really, for me, like really what sets this game apart is that initiative system where you're laying out your cards and with your hand level, right? So you have access to all your cards that aren't stunned or anything, right? They're all in your hand. And you're going to basically, because we're on the first level, it's 3 cards. If we get to the second level, it's 4 cards. And if we get to that third monster, you can you can play 5 cards.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're really like getting
doing a lot,
lay out a lot of stuff, and so it gets really interesting with like, okay, so what am I going to do? There was definitely times where it's like, I'm not going to play a 4 or a 5 because I'm going to go really attack heavy, and I didn't want anybody to predict. Like
that
get
you have
off
4 or 5. Yeah.
Right.
No freebies off of me. Yeah.
Right. So there's some of that, and there's just the timing of like when you do things and how you're going to do things. I just find really interesting, and I enjoy that player interaction. Another thing that I think is great is it's very easy to like heal your character back up. It's not too hard. It's harder to knock a character down. But if you do get knocked down, it's really not the end of the world. You lose 1 resource. You either lose a gold or an XP, but you're not like screwed. It's not like, well, all my attacks are gone.
I don't get to do anything.
It doesn't flush your whole turn. It might
Right.
set you back on getting to buy a card, or an item. When you wanted to.
But then you just fight back and you get that extra resource back by killing the person with the bounty.
But there's definitely ways to sort of go around that. And also, to plan, well, because the other thing, right, if you're getting hit, everybody has this flat-footed thing. So if you get hit and you just take all that damage the first time, well, now you've got like a
decent defense.
A decent defense right there. Because that will block 5. I mean, that's massive.
It's a huge attack.
So it really does benefit if you get attacked earlier in the round to just take that damage, because then nobody else they might be less inclined to attack you because it's like, well, I mean, it's not going to do anything.
I'm glad Justin figured out with that boomerang, because I had that card that was like I'd hit somebody for 1, but then later on I got an extra attack for 2 as it came back to hit them, and you should have just taken that 1 every time and then just flip that dodge over. I'll take that 1. Bring it.
Come on, man.
Yeah, that was funny.
But yeah, so I mean, there's all kinds of different things in here that you can do, and I just really appreciate sort of the flexibility and the different ways you can kind of go to win this game, because I have won this game by just going after the monsters, and I was very close to winning this game by
going after the monsters.
But kind of going after the monster, but then I started hitting you and Justin too.
Yeah. I was very squishy.
Because I was getting all those abilities to trigger, right? So I was having to find different ways to make my cards work the way I needed them to, so I could keep throwing that gold and that XP on them, resolving them the way they need
successfully.
to. Yeah. So I just love that sort of cat and mouse aspect of that. It just keeps the game very interesting. And there's a couple characters that I haven't even played as yet. I've seen now most of them, but I think there's still one I haven't seen. But I've played as different characters every time, so which is also cool because again, the
different
asymmetry is strong.
It's strong,
and all the stats are very different.
Right,
they're very different. I mean, we talked recently about an asymmetric, quote unquote, game where everybody's stats were the same and it was stupid. And this is not that.
Yep.
So this game does just a ton of things right. The only nitpick I have, and I will say it is a nitpick, it is a little fiddly because there's things you're keeping track of. But if you do it in the order, I mean, there's some bookkeeping that goes along with it.
A little bit, but man, some of the games, compared to some of the games we have, like on a scale of 1 to 5, this is maybe like a 2.5 on nit.
It's a little more fiddly than like Clank or DC.
Maybe DC, yes. DC, I do like a 1.5, but Clank is like a 2.5 on fiddly too.
You think so?
Yeah, it's about as fiddly as this. And this one, there's not a bunch of shuffling.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
You minus the shuffling, you add an extra token. Not as fiddly.
That's fair.
At least comparable.
That's fair. I will say, you will benefit greatly by just strictly following that.
Yes.
Just follow that. Don't skip ahead.
Yep.
It will not add.
Line.
You're going to add more time skipping ahead and then going back and trying to figure out what you messed up.
Yeah. Just top to bottom.
Just go top to bottom every time, and you'll be fine. But yeah, this game moves because all the gameplay is basically simultaneous. Everybody's assigning their things, and then we're just resolving in order.
Resolve them all, yep.
And I think the longest you're waiting is maybe during that buy phase where you're trying to figure out what card you want to get out of your library.
Right.
And then the initial maybe what
planning I'm
going to do. But again, it's 3, 4, or 5 cards. So it's not really like that much.
Right.
So it's just a really crazy combination of like a deck building and like programmed actions and I was in love with this. I saw like a very, very raw prototype of this at a proto spiel back in 2019.
Pre-COVID.
And Keun found us and reached out, and he's like, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but..." And I was like, "Oh no, I remember that game, and remembered really liking it." And so his first edition had come out on Kickstarter, and now the second edition is coming. Again, it's going to add that 4th player spot. But I think you could go to Keun. I think it's like just Keun Games, Keun, and you could. You might be able to get the first edition from there, but I would almost just say go get second edition.
Yeah, especially if he's going to add more characters and stuff to it.
Yeah.
That'd be the way to go.
But since this game is published,
it is.
We are going to give it a rating. Yeah. Bob, how do we rate games at the Board Game Rundown?
Question, Tim. Here at the Board Game Rundown, we're going to give a game a rating between 0 and 10. We do use 0.5s with a little variation. We're going to take those scores, average them together, and that'll be the score that we have on BGG or Discord or anywhere you might see or ask what the BGR gave it.
Nice. Okay, Bob.
That's me.
I'm dying to know because I thought you would like this game, so I'm hoping I was right.
I did.
What did you rate? What do you rate Shadows, Heroes, and Monsters?
I'm gonna give it an 8.5. Like I really enjoyed this. Like, sorry, Tim, but I would rather play this over DC.
No, me too. No apology needed. Me too.
But yeah, like I really enjoyed like what was going on. I love the cat and mouse of the do I give them a block or do I have the monster attack them type of thing. And just because there's a lot of that reading the other player kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, and while it's not hidden movement, there is still a lot of like that hidden planning.
Well, there's a lot of player interaction without it feeling too take that-ish.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, we are. Don't even get it out. It's 8.5 for me.
Like I do the math.
This game's awesome. I'm a big fan. I cannot wait to see what other stuff comes out with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
make the box a little longer so I can roll these up and put them in there because I want to have the player mats with it.
Because this game's great, and I'm not sure as far as the player mats in the pledge level and whatever.
Sure.
But the player mats, I don't always go for player mats, but these I would strongly
They're
recommend.
very
There was
nice.
a reason why I made sure to break them out when we got these. Now Keun did give us this copy with the player mats and stuff. I did put he has a token tray that you can use. That comes with the insert that you can pull out and use, and that was fine. But I put this in here just because it made it. It made it easier for me.
Like, here's your player bits.
Yeah, it was just a little easier, and the way I like to do things.
Sure.
But they're a little bigger than what they actually need to be, but it's fine. They work, and this is a great game.
So I guess we took our scores and we averaged them together.
Right.
It is an 8.5.
Right.
So yeah.
So you have to admit I was right.
I said mine first, so I think I was right.
But I did say you'd really like this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. It's a 2. No.
Oh, dang! What have I done? Sorry.
Yeah.
No, this game's great. I'm really glad that Keun reached out and found us.
Yeah.
And was like, hey, do you want to talk about this? And I was like, yes, I do.
Yeah. Plus, so the first edition's a 2 to 3 player, and you're saying the new one's going to be a 2 to 4 player.
Yes.
So another reason to opt for the second edition.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
This would be even more interesting with an extra player.
And I don't think it adds a ton of time.
No, because like you're saying, pretty much everything's simultaneous.
Everything's yeah. This game just has so much going for it. It's really cool. It's really unique, and I love it. So, all right, guys, that's us babbling about Shadows, Heroes, and Monsters. Let us know what you think. If you played it, if you've seen it, is this interesting? Let us know in the comments. And for the Board Game Rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
Get your pubble ball off of me.
Nope.
We'll see you next time.